So what is the difference, right? You're saying, oh, you show up as Xiaoming sometimes, and then now you're trying to show up more as Adrian. So what does it look like? I assume now you're Adrian.
Hi, I'm Adrian. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me here.
Do you have your shades?
Hey.
Ah.
Hey, hi, what's up everyone? I'm Xiao Ming over here. Thanks for having me here. So exciting. Are you ready to hear my lame jokes?
Yeah. So this is how you'll beat one. Okay, switch back.
I can't do 45 minutes in
Can you imagine?
In that.
Welcome to another episode of The Real Deal. Today I'm so happy because we have the co-founder from Hoffman Media Group, of which SGAG, everyone knows, is a content group under that, content brand. So Adrian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I'm so
Super
excited. To talk to you because, Singaporeans have known you for the past 10 plus years, creating content, humour for all of us. And there's so much that I'm just starting to get to know about you. For example, I didn't know that you spent half of your childhood in Malaysia. Please tell me about that.
Actually, I've never really shared this story before. Yeah, my dad is from Malaysia. Yeah, so when we were young, every weekend or school holidays, we'll always be like traveling back to Malaysia. And honestly, I love it because my late grandma's place is really like a kampong. So it's just really a lot of freedom, a lot of play, a lot of nature. Right, in the evenings, when there's a little bit of wind, we'll use plastic bags and sticks to try to make a kite and then fly it. If not, we'll have like cycling race around the plantation. Right, or when it's durian season or rambutan seasons, right, we'll kind of pick up all the fruits. Yeah, so it's really like unregulated kind of play.
Yeah, that sense of adventure almost, right? Now with hindsight, looking back, do you think that those experiences gave you a different viewpoint compared to your fellow students or peers who did not have that upbringing?
On hindsight, definitely yes. But I think when I was growing up, I just feel like a misfit. I almost feel like I'm suffocated. Right? I mean, obviously there's a desire to want to do things differently. Yeah, but because everybody around me and the environment is just like that, everybody just kind of follow rules and they're happy and they're contented.
How do you think it's shaped you?
Even in the early years of like growing up, I enjoy the freedom to do whatever I want. Right? I tend to choose things or decide on things based on whether I get that freedom to decide what I want to do at that current point in time. Yeah, so I mean even entrepreneurship is really based off like this desire to create and do whatever I want to do.
You somehow managed to tap that sense of wanting adventure, freedom, tap that and make it into a commercially viable career path with SGAG and then now Hoffman, right? I'm just curious, how do you turn that passion into something that you can make money off of?
I mean, honestly, I think at the start of the entire journey for SGAG, it was really something that me and my buddy Carl, we started for fun. It was never meant to be, a career. We were never meant to make any money out of it. Let's say like a business that we've built now. After the first couple of years of just doing it for fun and building a community, which was nice, and people really liking the content, I think the realistic part, right, of living in Singapore slowly started to sink in as I was starting to also graduate, from university, right? Because nobody in our field or nobody has made any money out of memes, right? It's unheard of back in those days. So that was when we started really exploring, like, hey, what can we do, right, to actually make some kind of money out of this so that we can sustain this. It's not something we just do on the side. I think we were at the right place at the right time when social media started to take off. I think in this day and age, using humor for a brand when it comes to their marketing is very normal. But back in the days, using humor was something that's it was very unconventional. It was very scary. It's like uncharted territory. Scoot decided to kind of jump on it, right? And then they were like, hey, I want you to pay you money to make fun of us. Like,
really? That was the first big one that you remember?
Yeah, that was the first big one. That was our breakthrough kind of thing. And I was like, sure, I'm really doing it for free. If you want to pay me money to make fun of you, I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, why not?
I'm so curious, because you started this whole thing with a friend. It wasn't like a business partner, it was a friend first. And then you decided to go into business with Carl. So that always scares me, right? The idea of, maybe you work well as friends, then you go into business, and we know so many relationships that collapse because you go into business together. What has that experience been like for you?
Before SGAG, we actually started business together. Yeah, and it didn't end very well. So it was like the blog shop era. Because back in the days, the blog shop is usually for girls. Well, hey, you know what? If we do one for guys, we will fly to Bangkok on the first flight out in the morning, right? Go to Chatuchak, right? Drag the China bag, right? And just dump everything inside. And because we want to save money, we'll fly on the last flight back. Right, cool. So Chatuchak is like super sweaty. I mean, it's super hot. It will get super sweaty. And at the end of the day, we're like so tired. We will drag this big luggage of clothes back. Then after we realized, wow, I don't think we can do this. We can do this for long, you know?
Yeah.
We're not earning like crazy amount of money. This is not worth it. So I think we had like difference in opinion of how we should continue. And remember we had like a big fight about it. We swore to each other like we're never gonna do anything together again, right? You know, when SGAG came along, we were like, hey, oh my God, it seems like we have found something that we're excited to work on together again. The first thing that we did was to sit down and have a serious chat. Our baseline was that, you know, whatever we do, our friendship's gonna come first, right? We're gonna have each other's like back, right? And it's not about the money. When you start a business with a friend, right, or a trusted buddy, I don't have to watch my back. I'm blessed to have Carl as my co-founder. I always tell people he's the best CEO that I could have ever found. Because if you ask me to be a CEO, I can't. Everybody likes that title until you really, you know, find out what it actually entails, right? When things get big or when shit happens.
Yeah, I've never heard that point of view before. Like you said, I've only ever heard people say don't work with your friends because you will ruin the friendship. But that's such a good point. You don't have to watch your back when you're working with a friend that you actually trust. Yeah.
Because I mean, either way, there's going to be pros and cons, right? If you choose a partner and co-founder that's not your friend, right? You know, the question is how then do you build that trust? Yeah.
That's fair. Since we're talking about your working relationship with Carl, you know, all the work that goes into building a content group like this, a content brand. So I always think it's funny because your entire business model is about humor, being funny, being relatable. It's very light, right? There's nothing too serious. And yet, business is very serious. What happens behind the scenes for you as an executive running this company that people don't see?
Wow. Bring the tissue, no, just kidding. I mean, in the early days, right, we always say, I mean, we have this like tagline that we say, you know, being funny is a serious business. I mean, general perception of the nature of like our business, especially when it comes to SGAG, is that maybe it's just a bunch of clowns, right, behind the computer, right, they're not serious about it. I think for us to kind of establish ourselves as a credible force in the industry, we needed to make sure that we want to run the business the right way. It means we need to take care, right, of our guys like properly. Right? They're not just here as a resource, they come, they go. It's really taking care of their livelihood, taking care of their career growth. So these are, I guess, the kind of things that we think about. And for that to happen, right, day to day is not just like hee ha ha, you know, we just turn out and make jokes and create content. Yeah, we really go deep into some of these things so that we can keep the lights on, we can give people a meaningful, long-lasting career, and we can still continue to create content that matters.
Can I be honest with you, right, Adrian?
Yeah.
For the longest time, I didn't know that your name was not Xiaoming.
Most people don't know. Actually, most people really think that.
Yeah, because you kept posting Xiaoming, hello, it's Xiaoming, right? I think we're talking at a very interesting time in your life because, I mean, you're not wearing shades right now. Usually Xiaoming will have the shades, right? And what I've been hearing is that you're trying to shed a bit of the Xiaoming situation. From what I understand, no one wanted to do the videos, right? That's why you started being Xiaoming.
Yeah.
Is that true? No one else wanted to?
Yeah, kind of. Because I think when Facebook introduced the video feature, I was like, oh, I guess we can try creating videos. But, who wants to be on screen? It was just the 4-5 of us.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, no, it's okay. I was like, okay lah, then let me volunteer as tribute. I didn't think too much about it. And thus the birth of Xiaoming as a character. To be honest, I think Xiaoming is a part of me lah. Right? I mean, it's just a very extreme side of me that doesn't come out every day, but I can kind of bring it out because I am kind of lame like that. Right? I like to play this kind of pranks. This Xiaoming character just is able to help me connect with people a lot more easily. Right? I've been so dependent on it that I catch myself at certain moments, right, just not being confident when I don't turn up as this character.
Oh.
Yeah. Like I just somehow have this perception that people only, I guess, want to talk to me, right? Because I'm this particular character, and if I don't go there and hee ha ha and tell a joke or like be really really high energy, people somehow I have the idea that people might not be that interested in who I am. My social media account was initially meant to just be a platform for me to showcase all the pranks and jokes. But when my boy came along, I decided to show a little bit more of my life, right? As a dad, now that I have a kid. But I still turn up with shades. And one day I remember I was just gonna capture a very candid moment, right? As usual, I just take my phone and I wear my shades. I wanted to do a video. Then my boy was just like, Daddy, he pointed to my shades, Daddy, no. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, actually, why do I need to wear sunglasses? Xiao Ming is not like my boy's dad, Adrian is. So why should I actually wear sunglasses? But then I also but then, I have this character and I've just been wearing sunglasses. Sunglasses is part of the mystery, it's part of the intrigue, it's part of my identity. So if I take out sunglasses, what will people think? So there were a lot of these questions in my head. So I went through a little bit of this phase where I'm a bit lost. Like, should I turn up as Xiaoming? Should I turn up as Adrian? Right? How does this two worlds blend together?
I've always found that when we make a big change in our life like this, especially when it has to do with our identity, because it's so personal, right? I've always found that there's usually a trigger. Were you in a particular space? Was there something happening in your life?
I was not feeling fulfilled. I was not feeling genuinely happy. I think there were a lot of things that was going on in my life, right, that I should be very happy about. Like the fact that, Carl and I, we've managed to build a business that is this big across so many different countries, and we are, empowering this entire, space and economy, right? After all the fertility challenges that I was facing, I finally have a boy. I realized that then it's not the environment, then it's me that I need to kind of work on. Listening to different podcasts or leadership book was only putting little plasters, right, to whatever I was facing. I realized I needed to go maybe on a deeper self-discovery journey.
You are the boss of so many people. Can you explain why it's hard for a boss to ask for help?
The truth is that management or leadership or entrepreneurship, it is quite a lonely journey. We need to show up at work, we need to inspire, we need to lead, right? And I think showing vulnerabilities, right, showing struggles might not necessarily fulfill those responsibilities that we are supposed to do. Even when it comes to, family, right, home is a safe space, right? I had a challenging day at work. The last thing I want is to kind of continue with some of these challenges that I was facing and sharing with them at home. I just want my home to be, I guess, a little bit of that release, a little bit of that space for comfort.
Do you think that part of it is also because you are the man of the house? And men of the house are not supposed to, have all these emotional problems?
As a man, I also want to see, how can I sort some of these problems out myself when it comes to emotions. Yes, I do feel a lot, but I don't have the vocabulary. I don't know how to really express it. I don't know how, after expressing it, how do I navigate this conversation with my wife? Yeah.
I've also noticed that among girls, we communicate very differently versus when guys communicate in a friend group that's very guy, very bro, right? Is that also a challenge? You're going through something very hard. Is it hard to express that when it's guys?
To be honest, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really sense a difference because conversations usually just don't go that deep or that, touchy-feely, It's talking about emotions and how we feel. I tell you, I'm feeling sad, and imagine it's just my guy friend. They'll be like, hey, cheers. After that, done already. I don't want to talk about it already. Yeah, finish. Because for conversation like that happen, you need to, slowly, get deeper and deeper, and you feel more and more safe, and you start to open up. Yeah, so I think as guys, we all need to start building, a little bit of that literacy when it comes to our emotions and how we are expressing them.
And so you went through the Hoffman process and all that. How was it for you? What was the process like?
In their words, it's 10 years worth of psychotherapy in 7 days.
1 week?
Yeah, in 1 week. So it is a very intense process where a group of us will all convene at this place called Byron Bay in Australia. And for that 7 days, we are completely disconnected and cut off from the world, right? So that we can think about how we want to then eventually find out about who we are exactly, and if there are certain negative patterns that we have developed, how do we kind of rewire that. And I remember, right, the first couple of days it was super emotional. I remember the morning, right, I cried so much, right, because they were working on like my relationship with my mom, and I was like, I was crying, I was so tired. I went for lunch. I was like, I don't think, I can cry anymore. I have no more tears left. After lunch, I went back and said, now we're gonna work on, your other parent. I continue crying. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, not to scare you or scare people, but yeah, it's really a lot of these emotions, right, that we feel that has been pent up or kept inside or kept in a dark corner for such a long time that they get to, help us express them in a very, very safe environment.
Is there something that you're willing to share from that process that has been pulled out of you? Something that you learned, something that you managed to rewire?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of negative patterns. I have a lot of flaws. And one of which is, I guess I realize I have this tendency to wanna save people. I always feel like protecting my mom, right, is my way of loving her. Is her way of also relying on me and making me feel like important. And that is where, I started to develop a little bit of that tendency, right, or the negative pattern of wanting to help her, like give her advice or comfort her or to, in a way, save her. And this went to, I guess, very unhealthy, areas where, as a founder, as a leader, my job is not to save people.
Yeah.
My job is to make sure that, we keep the lights on, right? And there's meaningful career and blah, blah, blah. So I think this awareness helped me to reconcile a lot of things, connect a lot of dots within me, right? Being okay that, hey, in my adulthood, I can show people love, right? And I can be loved without saving people.
Almost sounds like even like a soldier mindset. You were from NDU, right? Naval diving unit. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't need to get into how, that's positive, as in it builds a lot of character, strength, resilience, all of that. That's great. The flip side of that same coin is that my sense is that it also creates a feeling of like selflessness. You can never think of yourself. You got problems? Never mind. It's about the team. It's not about me.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, Andy, we always tell ourselves that the only easy day was yesterday. A smooth sea never make a skilled diver. Right? So things like that we tell ourselves that honestly was really, really helpful. I mean, those quotes, that kind of mentality really, pushes one to things that you never think you'll be able to achieve. But like what you said, that soldier or that diver kind of mentality, it served me for a season of my life. That is still a very useful tool, but it cannot be the only tool, because that has been the only tool that I've been taking out every single time.
Understand.
Right, and it just doesn't solve all my problems anymore. There's a new set of challenges that I'm facing in my life, and this might mean a better understanding of myself, right? Emotional literacy, new way of communicating with my wife or even my buddy at work, right? So that we can connect a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a great point. The toolbox. I like that that image. It makes sense to me. Yeah. How has being more vulnerable changed how you show up as a boss?
Work is still a big part of anybody's life, whether you're a boss or you're like an employee. And if we as a company or me as a leader, right, can support not just, from hitting OKRs and KPI objective, I can support you as a human, even if I cannot solve some of the problems that you're facing outside of work, but at least I understand, I offer a listening ear, right? That might be something that what people just kind of need. Right? And that is what I would love to be able to do when I was struggling, to just have a listening ear somewhere, right, where I feel like it is a safe space.
Has it helped with your relationship as a husband or as a dad also?
Even in the first couple of weeks after coming back, I find myself getting triggered by something that was happening at home. After that, I texted her after going to work. I was like, I'm sorry this happened, but I went into this state, right, because, I was triggered by something that you said, and it's because of this, and this. She was like, wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. Do you communicate differently with your male friends these days? That seems like the hardest.
Yes. Actually, yes. So I don't drink a lot these days.
Oh.
Right? And usually I drink with my bros. So now I feel like, let's drink to celebrate. Right? Let's have coffee chats.
Yeah.
Let's not just drink for for the sake of drinking. Let's have like coffee chats so that we can have a different kind of conversation in different kind of settings for different kinds of reasons with my bros. And it has been a nice change lah. It's not like suddenly I become like a saint or suddenly I become perfect. I'm still learning, right? So I'm also trying to kind of use some of these tools that I've learned and try to put them into practice. Test a little bit,
For anyone who's watching who maybe doesn't have the resources to go through the Hoffman process right now, but they want to learn something, do you have any recommendations for resources or something to Google?
One of the key things, right, that one should do is first of all, like just opening up. I mean, it's as simple as opening up, right? Because I think many a times, many of us struggle is because we keep these inner battles, like just within ourselves. Right? I feel like being able to find, within your family, your friends group, right, people that you can just talk to is extremely important. And if you think about therapists, right, as just a teacher, right? It's not that you have something wrong. You're just learning a little bit more about yourself. It's not that you're ill, right? Or you're broken or whatsoever, right? Or you're not a criminal. You're just understanding yourself. I feel like reshaping that mindset will make people a little bit more open. If school isn't doing it for us in our early years, then we have to take that responsibility into our own hands. Right? It doesn't just happen naturally. Like one day I wake up and I understand myself. That desire to want to learn about yourself, it needs to be viewed from a positive mindset so that we go in with a positive attitude and we don't expect also miracles to happen overnight.
Yeah. Thanks for those words. I hear a lot of like wisdom, a lot of peace coming from you these days. In other conversations, you've said that one of the fears that you still carry is that you're afraid that no matter how much you do, you are not going to have an impact on people. You have no impact. Can you please explain what you mean by that?
I think, in my early, adulthood, in my 20s, I don't really have a definition of what kind of impact would make me feel fulfilled. It's almost like the more the merrier lah, right? And I stumbled upon this thing called SGAG, and then it started making a lot of people laugh. So it's just if I can make more people laugh, that'll be great. Right? If I can create a big company that can bring more people and give them a meaningful career, that'll be great. But those are, I guess, very quick and superficial way of defining what is impact. Maybe in this season of my life, I want to see how can I impact people deeply, but maybe just a few. A few who I care about. I feel like that is how the definition of impact has changed.
So, I actually have a surprise for you right
Wow.
now. This is a little collection of people who say that you have impacted them. Would you watch the video?
Oh wow!
Okay, when you're ready, you can play on top.
Hi, I'm Adrian's mommy, Irene. Adrian is my eldest son. He's not only a good speaker, he's also a patient listener and the best advisor. He will always be by my side whenever any helps in need for our family.
Hello, Tucker.
Wow!
My brother is someone who has a lot of love for people in the world around him. I think that his mode of expression a lot of times flies under the radar, and it exists in the subtleties.
You matter. You matter because you've gone from making 2 to 3 people laugh in the beginning to making millions of people laugh over the years. But behind Xiaoming, Adrian is the person that matters the most to me. While there are many versions of great husbands and dads out there, yours is the version that I love the most. So thank you for being our anchor and my best friend. I love you.
Aww. Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
How are you feeling?
How did you all get there?
How do you feel?
I did not expect that. I feel seen and heard lah. Yeah, I mean, these are really the people that matters to me, and I think for them to be able to see me for who I am and how I've evolved through the years, right? And the impact that I'm trying to create, Oh, it's so nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Can I give you a hug?
Sure.
Yeah. Can I also get a job at SGAG?
You might lose your job as a host of this series though.